Imagine walking into a courtroom where the air feels heavier than anywhere else. A place where a wealthy, well-known celebrity, someone long admired in the media spotlight, now sits in the defendant's seat. Across from him stands a woman, her voice trembling but her eyes sharp with nothing left to lose. And as she begins to speak, her story has the power to change everything. This isn't the tale of a violent abduction. It's not some Hollywood thriller. This is the real testimony of a woman who once loved and is now in the witness chair, revealing a personal nightmare few could believe. And this is where it all begins. She never revealed her real name to protect her identity. The court and media referred to her as John, or Jane if I'm not mistaken. But to many in the music industry, Jane was a familiar face, a young woman with simple dreams and a smile that could light up a room. When she entered into a relationship with a celebrity at the center of this story, she thought she was living a dream. Lavish gifts, luxury travel, VIP treatment, but the truth lived behind closed doors. Jane told the court that it didn't take long for their romance to turn into something much darker. A space dominated by control, fear, and emotional dependence. Jane described in vivid detail what she called the hotel nights. These appeared to be parties, but behind the scenes, they involved pressure, performance, and cameras capturing everything. She said she was often made to interact with a stranger while the celebrity lounged on a couch watching. In many cases, she claimed he encouraged or pressured her to use substances before these events, though sometimes masked with the appearance of consent. Jane said it was anything but. What looked like agreement was actually the result of emotional dependency, financial treats, and addiction. Perhaps the most shocking moment in Jane's testimony came when she admitted that, even after everything, she still believed she was in love. How can someone who suffered so much still speak of love? Here, the courtroom heard about something called trauma bonding. Jane laughed at times, cracked a joke or two, and then broke into tears, as if she herself couldn't fully grasp what had happened to her inside this relationship. Psychologists who testified explained this as a textbook case of toxic relationship, one where the victim, despite the pain, remains deeply attached to their abuser. Then Jane spoke, all eyes were on her, but more telling than her words were the reactions of the jury. Sometimes they seemed moved, other times cold or puzzled. Perhaps because this case challenged basic assumptions. Was this a life of luxury and freedom or one of coercion and control? The defense attorney tried to reframe the entire narrative. He claimed this was a consensual relationship built around shared preference. According to him, the celebrity simply enjoyed watching certain scene play out. And this was a private, mutual dynamic. But the prosecutor disagreed. Consent, they argued, doesn't count when it's given under pressure, whether from drugs, financial control, or emotional manipulation. And that's where the real battle began. The line between personal desire and the abuse of power. The court heard how Jane was financially dependent on the defendant. She had no place to live unless he paid the rent. Meanwhile, he was spending millions on romantic getaways with others. This wasn't physical force, it was financial force, a subtle but undeniable form of control. Not through threats or violence, but through economy, need, and the fear of being abandoned. In court, audio clips, text messages, and notes from Jane's phone were shown. Her shaky voice in one clip said, "I don't want to do this, but I have to." And many in the courtroom held their breath. In some messages, she was asked to use substances before the events. In others, she simply cried and typed, "I can't take this anymore." These weren't just words. They were a window into a young woman's private anguish. Someone who smiled in public, but was breaking inside. Jane revealed how each time she tried to leave the relationship, promises like "I'll change" or expensive gifts pulled her back. And each time it led to the same cycle: hotel nights, cameras, substances. This is the exact pattern many toxic relationships follow. The victim believes this time it's different, but in truth, the cycle never ends. Now, it's up to the jury to decide. Was Jane a willing participant in an uncontroversial lifestyle? Or was she someone whose mind, body, and future were manipulated under the shadow of fame, fortune, and an imbalance? Because this trial is no longer just about one man. It's about a much bigger question. What is consent in today's world? How much power is too much in a relationship? Perhaps the most important part of this case isn't about the relationship at all. It's about how fame can hide what really happens behind the scenes. How people, when faced with a famous name, will bend reality because the truth is just too comfortable to believe. And maybe that's why Jane's voice matters so much, because in a world full of spotlight, she dared to speak from the shadows. The trial isn't over. The verdict is still unknown. But what's certain is that Jane has become a voice for everyone trapped in complicated, hidden, and harmful relationships. Her story may sound strange, even contradictory, but that contradiction proves a powerful point. Pain doesn't always scream. Sometimes it hides in silence, in a smile, or in a night that no one wants to remember. If you are interested in real, complex, and underreported courtroom cases like this one, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. Every week, you'll hear stories that won't just shock you, they'll change the way you see the world around you.